It's just fantastic.
Captain's Log, Subdates 210720.7. I've long been considering an offer to have a unit of specialized creepers assigned to the pedo unit. It is tempting, as they can both regenerate and obliterate the perpetual lifer. I might make a poll for this one, and then ignore it, and simply accept the offer because reasons. Welcome everyone to the Halls of Injustice. Today we welcome inmate number 082, named Alberto Sanchez Gomez, to the cubes, this cube pre-shrink. His cell will be placed next to the likes of Eduard Seleznev. If you remember him from a previous Halls of Injustice, then you'll already know where this one is going. Alberto Sanchez Gomez is a 28-year-old Spaniard from the Ventas area of Madrid. He was, for a while, a waiter. Now he's a dosser, a bum, a jobless nobody, with a bit of a taste for drugs and alcohol. And yes, I know alcohol is a drug, thank you for telling me. He resided at the family home, an apartment, with his mother. Not his younger brother, but his younger brother does feature later on. For a period of about a month in 2019, Alberto's mother had been missing, Maria Soledad Gomez. So a neighbor raised an alarm with the police. So the police then paid the family home a visit. And consider this now a trigger warning. This is now where it gets really dark. Because Alberto got really hungry. And that hunger took him to a level of depravity that might well trigger some of you. Sorry in advance. It is also worth adding that prior to what happened, Alberto had been arrested 12 times for mistreating his mother. Yes, he's one of those guys. He's going to be very well respected here at the Cubes. So when the police arrived, a young man opened the door but left the door chain on. The police wanted the door opened properly. So Alberto took off the chain, opened the door and ran to the end of the hallway. He came back and was asked about his mother, to which he replied that she was inside and that she was dead. Alberto was then summarily arrested, and he did confess to murdering his mother via strangulation, but did claim that it was because of the neighbors and the celebrities on the TV that had compelled him to do so, because he loved his mother too much to do it otherwise. When the police searched the property, they found human remains, which would include in the bedroom a head, some hands, and a heart. In the kitchen, a pot containing others, which would be Tupperware, with it being estimated that Maria's body had been cut up 1,000 times because Alberto was hungry. Now granted, this hunger was born out of desperation because he wanted to get rid of the evidence. So what he did to ensure this was he would eat some of it cooked, some of it raw, and when he really felt like sharing, he'd give some to the family dog, who understandably knew no better. Alberto used a number of tools to best get his mother's body down to a size that was easier to store in Tupperware. He started by using what has been dubbed a carpenter's saw to cut all her limbs, and then kitchen knives to cut the tissue down and dice it up. The bones were then placed elsewhere but kept, I assume for a broth or to make some glue. When this went to court, the cannibal of Las Ventas, who could well be now more famous than the bull ring, was dragged into the courtroom, where many statements were made. From the officers, they said that he was a very calm man. I didn't see any emotion of any kind. He was very calm, very cold. We had come to home on occasions. There was in fact a restraining order against Alberto Sanchez Gomez for verbal abuse. I'm glad to see that worked. When the police brought him to the station, the police officers went through his confession. We asked him if he had been with someone else in the apartment, and he went on to confess everything. He said that he had attacked his mother from behind, and that he had dismembered her with a saw. He told us that he was worried about his dog. Officers told the court they were surprised by how nonchalantly he described what had happened, as if it were casual conversation. When questioned in the station by an officer about his reasons for killing his mother, his response was terse. He said it was because she made his life impossible. And as is well established at this point, once you commit murder, your life gets so much simpler. No bills, no money, no worries. Right? We're gonna make you work in the cubes, Alberto. And you're gonna need to make a salary anyway because one of your punishments is included in that. On the first day in court, Alberto did tell the court that he heard voices telling him to kill his mother, and that after his mother had filed a restraining order against him, he had been living on the streets, in friends' places and squatter homes. His daily life revolved around drinking every day, smoking pot and hearing voices, along with admitting that he saw hidden messages when he watched television. I assume this is up there with playing Black Sabbath backwards on a vinyl record. So yes, bullshit. He also claimed that he had no memory of cutting up his mother or eating her remains, which is a tad strange because he had in fact admitted to everything else. Seemed selective that he would remember murdering, but not consuming. It might well be possible the paella was just not up to par. During a final address to the court, Alberto Sanchez Gomez told the court, "I am very repentant. I suffer anxiety from the moment I wake up. I think of my mother and I'm absolutely heartbroken." By all means now press X to doubt his sincerity. Yes, he does in fact have a history of mental health issues. After a trip from Greece, he did in fact spend some time in a hospital because of those hidden voices. And an argument could be made that at some point in his life, there was a massive failing when it came to treating him. But we here at the Halls of Injustice take a very different view. You murdered your mum via strangulation so you could keep the meat nice and tender. You then cut her up into 1,000 pieces, kept her head, her heart and hands, stored the bones and put the meat in Tupperware, where you and the dog shared her like she was dinner for quite some time. As I haven't mentioned this yet, the two main charges he faced. One was murder, obviously. The second was desecration of a human body, both of which carry very different sentences, and the prosecution were after the maximum sentences they could get. For murder, they were after 15 years, which is a pretty shit sentence on the face of it. For desecration of a human body, they were after 5 months, which is also kind of strange to me. I get the life isn't there, but really? Just 5 months? Alright, I'll get to my sentence soon, don't you all worry. And as a final excuse, because yes, there were many of them so far and contradictory statements, he had claimed that the whole thing was nothing more than a psychotic episode, as a way of trying to make it seem like he was unable or unfit to stand trial. That was dismissed. And I also want to point out the one contradictory point, the one big one, was that he had told the police exactly what he did to his mother when they arrested him, only to then in the courtroom say, "I don't remember doing that." So, with this, we have a verdict. It's obvious, I know, but I really like playing the role. Guilty! And with this we get to a sentence. I earlier told you the prosecutors were after 15 years and 5 months for the two charges. And it was the prosecutors' lucky day. They got both. Alberto Sanchez Gomez, inmate 082, sentenced to 15 years 5 months for murdering his mother and eating her body, with the dog, who I'm hoping has been given to a loving new home, but it is highly likely the dog was destroyed. F for the dog. My sentence, because obviously I disagree with this sentence on a whole different level. Life. Perpetual life. Don't worry, we don't charge you for this. We just regenerate, while the creepers obliterate. Oh, and there is one last bit. Alberto Sanchez Gomez needs to pay his brother 60,000 euros in compensation. Nice to know you can put a price on life. So for that, we're going to have to send him to Titan. We have some deuterium that needs mining with his toothbrush, which he'll have to use at the end of the shift. Good luck. Now, as we're done with the Las Ventas cannibal who is now in his cell, look at that prick, I'd like to know what you all think. So please do let me know in the comments down below and really help drive up my engagement. As a final thing, I shall be streaming on Twitch tonight. If I don't see you there, have a fantastic day and thank you all very much for listening.